I stared her down. If you sleep with anyone other than me, you won't like the consequences, I warned. I will find out. And when I do, your lover won't walk away unscathed. His ribs will be crushed, his nose broken, and his groin shattered. So pray, because my investigation has already begun. The city of Zurich was a playground for the wealthy, a chessboard of polished floors, power-hungry executives, and champagne-fueled betrayals. In this world, trust was fragile. One misstep, and it shattered beyond repair. I had built my life here, earning a reputation as an elite financial strategist, a man who understood numbers, risks, and more importantly, people. I married Elena, a stunning and intelligent woman with sharp wit, and even sharper ambition. She was a rising star in the luxury hospitality industry, managing an exclusive 5-star hotel that catered to Europe's most powerful businessmen. Our relationship was once the envy of many, two accomplished individuals standing side by side. Unstoppable. But something changed. It started subtly. The late-night meetings, unexplained absences, distant looks across our candlelit dinners. A scent of cologne that wasn't mine clung to her silk scarves. Then the signs became impossible to ignore. Her phone always face down, passwords changed, casual defensiveness when I asked about her whereabouts. I was no fool. My career was built on reading between the lines, uncovering deception hidden beneath polished words and designer suits. Now I was applying that same skill to my own marriage. The final crack appeared on a crisp autumn evening. Elena had been distant for weeks, and I had grown quietly watchful. That night, she came home late. Her excuse was the usual, a last-minute VIP event at the hotel. But as she stepped inside our penthouse, something was off. Her lipstick was slightly smudged, her hair too perfectly styled, and there was a glow about her. Not the exhaustion of a long day, but the satisfaction of something illicit. She kissed me lightly and went straight to the shower. That's when I saw it. A single diamond-studded earring glinted under the soft light of our living room. It wasn't hers. I picked it up, twirling it between my fingers as a slow, cold rage settled in my chest. The next morning, after she left for work, I did something I had never done before. I searched her car. In the glove compartment, buried under receipts, I found a matchbox from a high-end boutique hotel in Milan. A place I knew well. We had never been there together. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Confrontation gave the guilty a chance to lie, to manipulate, to destroy evidence. No, I needed something undeniable. So I hired a professional, Marcus Lehman, a private investigator with a reputation for discretion and ruthlessness. Within a week, I had my answer. Elena had a lover. His name was Vincent Moreau, a French investor with deep pockets and an even deeper sense of entitlement. He was charming, arrogant, and foolishly confident. The kind of man who thought he could take whatever he wanted without consequence. But he was wrong. The rage inside me was cold, calculated that I wouldn't resort to violence. Not yet. Instead, I would let them dig their own graves. That Friday, I told Elena I had an urgent business trip to London. She barely hid her relief. That night, I tracked her phone. She went straight to Vincent's penthouse. Marcus had already planted a hidden camera in the elevator lobby, capturing everything. The longing looks, the stolen kisses, the way she laughed, a laugh I hadn't heard in months. I sat in my office, watching the footage, my jaw tight. Then, I picked up my phone and made a single call. The next morning, Elena came home early, wrapped in an expensive coat that wasn't hers. Her walk was careful, as if her body still carried the echoes of another man's touch. I was waiting in the kitchen, silent, watching. She froze when she saw me. "Elena," I said, my voice deceptively calm. A flicker of fear crossed her face. She wasn't stupid. She knew. "Sit." She obeyed, hands trembling. I slid my phone across the table and pressed play. She watched in horror as the video unfolded. The embrace, the whispered words, the betrayal captured frame by frame. My voice was quiet but lethal. "If you sleep with anyone other than me, you won't like the consequences." Her breath hitched. "I will find out, Elena. And when I do." I leaned in, my eyes never leaving hers. "Your lover won't walk away unscathed. His ribs crushed. His nose broken. His groin shattered. Tears filled her eyes. She knew I meant every word. So pray, I whispered, because my investigation has already begun. The air between us was thick with silence. Elena sat motionless, her face pale, fingers trembling as they clutched the edge of the table. The weight of my words settled on her like a crushing burden. She opened her mouth, then closed it. There was no excuse, no lie that could undo what I had seen. Damon, she whispered, tears brimming in her blue eyes. Save it. My voice was ice. This isn't the time for apologies. It's the time for consequences. She swallowed hard, her breathing uneven. For the first time, she realized she had no control over this situation. I could have thrown her out that night, told her to pack her bags, watch as the world we built together crumbled at her feet. But that would have been too easy. Vincent Morrow had taken something from me. Now, I was going to take everything from him. So I played the role of the calm, wounded husband. I didn't yell, didn't throw things, didn't demand an explanation. Instead, I let Elena think she had a chance. I let her believe I was willing to forgive her. I let her believe she could have it both ways, her marriage, her status, and her lover. And while she clung to that illusion, I was already building my trap. Vincent Morrow thrived on power, wealth, and influence. A snake in an expensive suit, using charm to climb higher in the world of European investments. But I knew something he didn't. His company was on the verge of collapse. A series of risky, illegal trades had put him on the financial equivalent of a time bomb. He had buried the evidence, manipulated the numbers, bribed the right people to keep it quiet. But not from me. With Marcus's help, I unearthed everything. Every fraudulent transaction, every falsified document, every whispered bribe. Then, I did something he never saw coming. I reached out to his competitors, that I leaked just enough information to investors to make them panic. Stockholders began selling. Partners started questioning. Within days, his empire was in free fall. Vincent Morrow was about to become a ruined man. And he had no idea I was behind it. 3 days after my confrontation with Elena, I gave her one last chance to confess. I took her to an expensive restaurant, ordered her favorite wine, and asked her, one final time, if there was anything she wanted to tell me. She hesitated. I could see the wheels turning in her head, calculating, weighing the risks. And then she lied. She told me she had been distant because of work stress. She said she loved me. She promised there was nothing else. That was all I needed. I leaned back, took a sip of my drink and smiled. Good, I said. I needed to hear that. Because by tomorrow morning, she would lose everything. At 9 a.m. sharp, every major financial news outlet in Europe reported that Vincent Morrow's company was under investigation for fraud. By noon, his investors had pulled out. His accounts were frozen. The Swiss authorities were preparing charges. By 3 p.m. his office was raided. His employees were panicking. And the man who thought he could steal from me was watching his empire burn. And by 6 p.m., I was sitting in my penthouse, watching Elena's phone light up with desperate messages from Vincent. Elena stared at the screen, her hands shaking. She looked at me, tears forming in her eyes. What did you do? She whispered. I leaned forward, my voice calm, controlled. I warned you. Then with deliberate precision, I handed her the divorce papers. Elena was still processing what had happened when she realized the divorce wasn't just about ending our marriage. I had completely cut her off. Our prenuptial agreement was ironclad. She had cheated, which meant she walked away with nothing. No penthouse, no bank accounts, no luxury cars. Everything she had was gone. Damon, she pleaded, her voice breaking. Please, I made a mistake. I stood adjusting my tie. You did, I agreed. And now you live with it. She broke into sobs. But I felt nothing. Not anger. Not regret. Just cold, calculated satisfaction. And then I delivered the final crushing words. I suggest you find somewhere to stay, I said, walking to the door. Because Vincent won't be able to save you. Vincent Morrow was arrested within a week. His assets were seized. His name was forever tarnished. Elena tried to reach out, begging for another chance. I never responded. Instead, I moved on. I rebuilt my life. I focused on my work, my empire, my future. And I left her, and her pathetic lover in the past. Exactly where they belonged. Because in the end, revenge isn't about rage. It's about patience, strategy, control. And when you play the game right, they destroy themselves. Never underestimate a man who sees betrayal as a challenge instead of a defeat.